Ready?
Yeah.
Good morning. We are here. It's October 3rd, and we're moving the tiny home today, which feels like a major win.
The amount of work it took to get to this point, we still have a lot of work to do, but the amount of work it took. 2 months ago, we didn't even have a house that we knew we were going to buy. Then we found a house with land. We went through the whole closing process, and then we started deconstructing all this. So,
Well, and before that, even just the conversation of like, are we keeping this tiny house? Are we selling it?
lots of conversations about whether or not we're selling it or taking it with us.
I would say so far that's been like the single hardest decision as a married couple. Was do we keep it or do we sell it? And like, how do we navigate which one we want and what's best for our family?
Yep.
And that was a lot of conversations. That
Conversations
didn't end well.
is a nice way to put it.
Fights, arguments.
We're taking it with us though, and today it's happening. We're waiting on 2 18-wheelers to show up right now.
Yeah, but we decided all in all, y'all, that the tiny home has been an investment for sure, and it'll be paid off within the year. And so to sell it just kind of felt like we're giving that investment opportunity to someone else. And so when we really did the math and realized how we could bless people with this home, and also
make money through Airbnb,
and make money like this, this unit could help pay for daycare for the kids. So like, it wasn't something to ignore. So we decided that if we had the opportunity and the land, let's do it. It's extremely expensive to move these units. I kind of want to go down, we'll do that later, like what the breakdown of the costs are, just to be super transparent with y'all.
How much is it to move it?
Well,
moving.
Just to move it today is $7,200. So basically $3,600 per unit to move it. So we are writing a huge check today. But it's, we decided it was worth it. So by the time we start renting it out, we can make that money back within a few months, at least within the year. And so we decided it was a good thing to do. But it's definitely nerve-wracking.
I can't tell you the amount of times I've hit my head on this little chandelier right here.
Well,
in the new house, we've stayed in the new house for like 4 or 5 nights now, and every time it's just habit for me to get off the couch and like do this, and I'm still doing it, even though the fans are like.
There's a coffee table usually. Anyway, so to get to here, let's talk about who we had to hire. We have to obviously hire the movers, and they're about to be here, and they'll reattach the axle, the hitch, put the tires back on, air up the tires. But the unit has to be completely ready to move, and to do that, we had to get a plumber to disconnect the water from the rainwater system and from the septic. We had to hire an electrician to disconnect the power. We had to hire an HVAC company to disconnect the mini split systems and let the Freon drain, which required power.
Yep.
So we had to line up people in the order in which, like, we couldn't pull the power. The power was the last thing to go. Actually, plumbing was the last thing to go.
And Jesse.
And then we had to hire Jesse Schroeder, who deconstructed the deck. That's just to get the tiny home ready to move off of this pad. That's not even talking about what we've had to do over at the new property. So over at the new property, we had to find a place we can put it, obviously. Excavate the land. So that required like a packer, a bobcat, a tractor, all of that equipment. We had to excavate the land, level it out, build a berm hill, because where we wanted to put the land actually is kind of where the rainwater drains from the neighbors. So we needed to make sure we weren't putting the tiny home in a wash zone. So we built up a berm. We had to remove 3 posts at the gate entrance of our new driveway so that the tiny home can actually just fit. We had to rent a chainsaw because whenever we move this, there will be tree branches in the way. And as Joey said coming over here today, he was like, Those guys aren't going to not move it because a tree branch is in their way. Like, we'll be, we're going to try to save everything we can. But if it's like a cedar, and in Texas we call those kind of scrappy trees because they're everywhere, we'll cut the cedar branches. We will not be cutting any oak branches today, live oak branches. We won't be doing that. We had to hire an electrician at the new property to run power to the pole. We'll have to get PEC out there to disconnect the power with the city. We'll have to get the plumber to run a trench to the new well system, the water well, and to the septic over there. We'll have to have Jesse back over there to reconstruct the deck. And what am I missing?
That's it.
I think that's it.
That's it, though. It's not a lot of stuff.
That's it. And I'm 32 weeks pregnant, and I'm project managing this thing because that's what I do. I work in construction. But it's been a lot of work. And so my point is, I'm probably spending over $15,000 within my company to move this. Kim Lewis Designs actually
And that's not to boast. That's to just say that.
No, I'm not boasting.
This is not.
It hurts.
The whole tiny home thing.
If you're trying to buy a tiny home and then rent land, you're going to have to move that tiny home eventually. Ours is bigger than normal.
Yes. And ours is 2 units. So if we were just moving 1 unit, that would have been closer to maybe $4,000 to move 1 unit. You do have to hire someone with a commercial driver's license. They need to check the road map of where they're going, making sure there's no low underpasses. And they have to check the permitting times that is allowed for traveling on that road. For example, 290, we have to be off of it by 2 o'clock in the afternoon to make sure that we're not in the way of traffic coming home for the day, because these are big. Now, these are 11'6", so we won't be crossing over lanes, and we don't need any flag cars because this is within the width of a normal car, highway lane, so we don't need a flag car, we don't need a police car, escort, or anything like that. But we do need a commercial driver's license person to move it. Now, we also had to take off anything that could be an extension or in the way that goes beyond that 11'6". So you can see up there where I had to have the electrician remove the barn lights. So because those extended past my 11'6" limit that I can be on the highway with. We've decided to leave the gutters and the downspouts on the unit because we quite frankly didn't want to pay someone to remove them and to also then put them back on the house. So there's a chance today that our gutters or downspout could get damaged, and if that happens, we'll deal with it.
Show them the tub.
The tub. Yeah. Joey and I are here a little bit early before the movers so we can kind of wrap up everything, but we had to brace the clawfoot tub. You're not going to move a clawfoot tub. I mean, this would be too heavy to move. So we braced it. Jesse did this. Basically just to make sure that this thing's not going to slide around. In a second, I'm basically going to start taping things shut so that doors don't fly open. I mean, we're not going to be going down the road really fast in this thing, but you want to just make sure everything's tied down and properly capped off so that it's safe on the road. Our guys obviously the drivers are insured, but it's a process, y'all. This fan will just kind of shake, and that's okay. I need to take the light bulbs down. Here's the condenser unit from Mitsubishi Electric that we had removed yesterday. That's
usually on the side of the house. That's hooked up to both mini splits, one in each unit, and we'll just take that in the truck.
Yeah.
Separately today.
So.
But when you take those things off, you got to drain the lines too. And in order to do that, you need the power on. So we had the electrician already scheduled out to come out and cut power off until we realized we needed to keep the power on to take that thing off the side of the house.
Right. And then you'll see, we're going to film this whole thing, but you'll see the process of getting it onto this pad was quite a chore. And a truck can't pull up. Our hitch on this side is right up against the hill country, the limestone wall over there. And so they'll have to use this little thing called a house cat, and it's kind of on a remote control system because a truck won't fit up there to literally push this back once the hitch is back on. And so they'll use a little house cat with a remote, and the house cat almost looks like a four-wheeler or a golf cart or something. It's really small, and it helps them be able to navigate the trailers into really tight spots. So I think getting it off of this property is going to be harder than getting it onto the new property because the new property is more wide open. But yeah.
Should we call the movers?
I think we should call the movers. They're late. Speaking of. The first truck with the house cat just showed up and I just got totally emotional. I think it's like that release, you know, when you just sort of like work so hard for something and it's like actually happening. And I'm just really excited that we get to bring the home with us. And this has been a lot of work, y'all. And I'm obviously super pregnant.
We did a lot in that little home. That was our bedroom for 2 years.
It's crazy. In a matter of like 2 hours, they're just like on the road with it.
Not even. They've been here for like 1 hour.
Like 1 hour.
These guys are gonna look out the window and be like, where did that house go? When they get back home from work.
These guys are smart. They're using that house cat robot all the way down the half-mile dirt driveway. And then they're gonna put it in this field over here until the big 18-wheelers come pick them up. So they're not basically they're not hauling an 18-wheeler all the way down our driveway.
Every time he goes into the left lane, I'm like, what's he doing? And it's because he's going around a tree limb. But he's doing it without even slowing down. We're going 50 miles an hour. This is nuts. I guess I assumed he'd go like 20. Joey, speaking of which, they do this all the time, but I'm literally looking at my chandelier swinging around. I'm looking at the electrical
We
panel.
should have put a GoPro in there or something.
That would have been fun. The electrical panel door is just flapping over here.
Talk about anxiety.
I know.
Jeez.
Once these pull in, I feel like you and I are gonna like breathe. Oh, that chandelier is literally.
It's on a bungee though, so it has room to get, you know.
Yeah, it won't go any
Has room to
farther.
play.
It is 1:13 in the afternoon. They have to be off the road by 2 o'clock.
That's right.
They have 45 minutes, which is fine. We're in good shape. And then you wonder, like, what are these people thinking that pass us? I guess people see homes going down the road all the time. We're on the driveway, and they're here. Here it comes. There's my sister. That's Beth. And Sunny. Sunny says, that's my house. Hi, house. Hi, house. Oh, sweet girl.
We did it, baby. We did it.
Is your house here? house is here.
The house you grew up in for 1 year
Is here.
is here next to our new one.
Yes.
What
We did
a
it.
crazy day.
Yeah, you guys, we
skipped a lot.
we skipped a lot. The last couple of hours have not been pretty.
Why don't you fill them in?
Well, we got unit 1 over here, like over to the side of the road, totally fine. Unit 2, like out of the driveway over there, totally fine. We were complimenting, like, man, they make this look easy. You know, we're like driving down 290, biting our nails. They get the first unit in, which is the kitchen side.
Which is coming through.
Totally fine. Coming through, that we had to cut some cedar branches down, but cedars are scrappy trees in Texas, and so we had to cut down some limbs, and no big deal. We were able to save the oak. We get the kitchen unit in. We are starting on the bedroom unit. The guys are about to pull it through the driveway with the little house cat. Mind you, on the first unit, Joey had been up on the roof to try to clear the oak branch because we didn't want to trim it. So luckily you were not on the roof when this happened. The house cat, like the pin of the ball, I guess the hitch, popped off because there's a dip in the driveway. And so it basically unhooked the hitch of the home on the house cat. And the house, our tiny house, went rolling backwards with no control and hit our realtor's truck and fell sideways, completely sideways, into the ditch of our new neighbor's house. Hello, new neighbors, we're here. The Poots are here.
It was that unit right there.
My sister and Joey saw it happen in slow motion. Luckily, like, Sunny wasn't there. Nobody got hurt, praise God. But the house completely tipped, y'all. Completely, like, La Cantina doors face down in the ditch. And all I was thinking when this happened was, well, A, I'm pregnant. I started literally hyperventilating because I didn't know at first if someone was under the house. Like, I was picturing Wizard of Oz, ruby red slippers, like tornadoes come through and she's under the house. That's what I was picturing. But nobody got hurt by the grace of God. And it took them, like, what, an hour probably to get it out of the ditch?
Hour and a half, yeah.
Maybe an hour and a half,
yep,
to get the house out of the ditch. The whole time we don't know what the damage is. The clawfoot tub is in there, our closet system, which isn't a big deal, but the clawfoot tub from Kohler weighs probably 400 pounds. All the tile, like, I'm thinking the doors are crushed, glass is everywhere. They get the little house cat, they start pulling it up, hour and a half goes by. We're just like, pretty much like, I'm gonna have this baby from all the stress. And yeah, they got it out of the ditch. La Cantina doors are intact. So if you're thinking about buying La Cantina doors, I highly recommend it.
Highly recommend it, yeah.
Yeah.
Huge recommendation.
Huge recommendation. The clawfoot, we had it braced. Our Jesse Schroeder, our gentleman that took down the deck, braced the tub actually really well, and only 3 tiles broke. There's drywall damage, but that's easy to fix. So you guys, most of all, nobody got hurt. Secondly, the damage that happened on the interior is so minimal, so we are just so grateful. And what I want to say about today is our mover, Garcia Moving, they're incredible. I would highly recommend them, even though this happened. This was nobody's fault. Accidents happen, and it's just kind of cool to see, like, how the grace of God, when it blankets over a situation, there's so much peace despite the, like, absolute stress and chaos, and these guys are working so hard, but nobody got hurt. So praise the Lord for that. And just when you treat people like, we weren't angry. It was like, you know what, this happened. It was devastating. Definitely shed some tears. Definitely thought I was going to go into labor. But we, at the end of the day, like, the grace of God just surpasses everything. And now we can look at this and say, the tiny house is home.